Welcome to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. If you have not done yet, join the other almost 50,000 people and hit that subscribe button and join us. That way you get alerts for videos like these. I'm Elise Jesse. He is Chuck Burks, the quarterbacks coach, and I am so excited to sit down with you because, first of all, your pedigree is incredible. A defensive coordinator at the ripe age of 26. You spent a lot of time under Brian Flores. Now you're under Lou Anarumo. I guess my first question for you is, what did you learn under Brian Flores that you have been able to bring to your job here in Cincinnati?
The main thing I learned from him is his approach, regardless of external circumstances. Day in and day out, he was the same person. He expected the most out of everybody he came in contact with. He got the most out of everybody he came in contact with. Very demanding, very detailed, very clear direction. You knew exactly, what you were supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it. At a high standard. And that's something that I took with me. That's something that, regardless of the adversity that we're faced from season to season, whether we're up, whether we're down, whether we're winning, whether we're losing, there's a standard of operation that you got to have and maintain as a professional coach. And that's something that I appreciate about him. He really changed my life from just a mentor leadership standpoint. And I'm very thankful that me and him crossed paths.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so sure that Lou Anarumo is happy that he has you as his cornerbacks coach. It's actually really funny. When I first started working here, Paul Gunther was right under Mike Zimmer as the defensive coordinator here in Cincinnati. And then when Paul Gunther was the defensive coordinator, he would always say, if players understand why you want them to run through the ball, they will.
For sure.
Do you find the same thing?
Yes, I do. It's plays are plays, but it's how you do things, which is the most important thing in the NFL from a culture standpoint. Everybody is going through an install. Everybody has plays to put their positions in, put their players in position to be successful. But the most important thing is how you do it. And when you're bought in and everybody has a clear direction and that message is clear from a day in and day out standpoint, regardless, again, of whether you win or lose, then these guys run through a wall for you.
And we got to address Cam Taylor-Britt, just because he has just been, I guess, under a lot of scrutiny this year. But I think people fail to remember that he had 4 interceptions last year, 11 PDs, 50 combined tackles. It just seemed like he was on the uptick. Is there something that maybe you can point to where I can't stand it, because Cam Taylor-Britt's name is always associated with the word regressed. And I don't know why that is. Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, the main thing is really just focusing in on the details. The position, it's tough. That position, when people see his mistakes, it's easy to see his mistakes because he's playing corner. It's the nature position. So that's, something that every young corner has to deal with. So whenever you've done a good job, whenever you made a big play, right, it's easy to feel like, you're the king of the castle, right? And then whenever you don't do well, it's easy, if you look at what everybody's saying about you, to feel that you're the worst player that's ever lived, which neither one of them is true. So you just have to get up, go about your work day to day, regardless of whether you win or loss, and get better. And that's the only thing he can control, is how he responds to good and bad adversity. And, he's doing that. He's in the midst of that, and he's fighting for it. There's no quit in him. And there won't be. He's had, obviously, his documentary as an up and down season, but I don't have a lack of faith or belief in Cam Taylor-Britt. I love that young man. Me and him are extremely close. He cares about his team. He cares about his teammates. He wants to do better. We just got to do better.
And I'm going to reference a couple of weeks ago when he was benched mid-game and Josh Newton came in for him. Obviously, that would be a tough thing for any player to deal with. Will you just kind of let us in on, I guess, what was the process of helping him through that a couple of weeks ago during that time when he was dealing with severe adversity?
Yeah. Part of the reason of pulling the players, preventing them from hurting themselves even more, because confidence is everything, again, at that position. So, when you make a decision like that, it gives them a chance to take a step back, breathe a little bit, compose themselves, and then go back and go and operate in the game. So it wasn't the end of the world. That's happened to a lot of starters in the NFL. A lot of cornerbacks have had bad days. There's a lot of quarterbacks that's had bad seasons. Obviously, you don't want that to be the guy that you're coaching, but it is what it is, and that's where we're at. But at the end of the day, it happened. He took a step back, and I believe last week you saw a glimpse of what he can be when he's locked in. But it just has to be a clean game, and we're still searching for that. Again, I believe in him, love the hell out of him, and we're working.
And I would love to hear more of your insight on your coaching position, because not only is cornerback one of the toughest positions to play on the field, I would imagine it's one of the toughest positions to coach as well. Will you just shed some light on what that is like?
Yeah, when you're coaching the cornerbacks, and it's very similar to coaching offensive line, right? When an offensive lineman makes a mistake from a technique standpoint, the quarterback gets hit. Right? When a cornerback makes a mistake from a technique standpoint or eye standpoint, it's a explosive play or first down or a touchdown. So it's something that's major that can change the momentum of the game. So as a coach, you really want to focus in on the details of the technique, details within the details of what we're asking them to do from a schematic standpoint. And really, I think it's important for me to be extremely calm on game day, because you're dealing with chaos and you're dealing with guys who are playing a high risk, high reward position. So, whenever I'm on the sideline, I try to talk to them calmly. Tell me what you see. Is this something that, if I see on the iPad that we lost leverage, we're in good position, just keep encouraging and everything like that. But, again, I've been in the NFL for 6 years. I've been coaching defensive backs my whole life. And nothing really surprises me. At least I try not to be surprised or act surprised. There's days that I'm still extremely pissed by some of the things that I see. And there's times where I'm extremely enthusiastic, especially a guy like Josh Newton, goes in against the Chargers, goes in, and it's third down. They throw at him. He makes a play. Then it's the fourth quarter. They throw at him again on third down. He makes a play. It's beautiful to see, because he's been working and doing that since OTAs. So it's not always negative. It's not always positive. So it's important to just stay right here, even kill.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought Josh Newton up, because I'm a big fan of the way that he approaches his role. I remember back when they brought the ping pong tables in, and Josh Newton was asked about the ping pong tables, and he goes, "I'm not a ping pong player. Yeah. I'm a quarterback. I'm a DB. Don't ask me about that." I thought that was hilarious. What have you noticed that stands out to you as his position coach that maybe all of us don't see?
Well, when he says something like that, just know that he's 100% serious. Yeah. He's 100% serious. So there's no BS to this kid. He's extremely serious. It's extremely important to him. You don't have to worry about if he's locked in. He's been locked in since the day I met him. And that's going back to during the draft process. Me and him, we did a Zoom, and I got to know him. Obviously, we're talking about football, we're talking about life, and he's a very extremely focused person, very focused. So I love coaching him. He loves the game. He's almost like a defensive back historian. So I was telling somebody the other day, he'll send me videos of Reggie Wayne versus Darrelle Revis, or Darrelle Revis versus Chad Johnston, right? So that's just the way he is. And I mean, this is at 11:30 at night, right? So he's just locked in. He loves the game, and I'm very proud of where he's come from, as far as being from Monroe and going to Louisiana Monroe, walking on, betting on himself, or getting the transfer portal, going to TCU, earning the starting job, becoming the captain, and then it's a beautiful story, right? And we're really at the beginning stages of his NFL story, and I'm excited to see where it's going.
He's young now, obviously in his first year, but can you tell early on whether or not that player has the type of qualities where he can lead the guys around him down the road? Like, he could emerge as a leader?
I think when you watch the play against the Chargers, again, so just kind of take you through the scenario of that. So he didn't know that he was going to have to go in there on third down. Right before the game started, he doesn't know that it's a possibility. It's always a possibility, right? So he goes in, and throughout the film study, we talked about that play and that situation that can potentially be something that can happen. He goes in, he's a rookie. He knows they're going to try him on the outside of the numbers. He makes a big play. And to me, that says so much about a rookie that it was unexpected. You went in, you made a play, and then they came back at you later in the game and you made another play. And then this next game, he goes in and he's against Pickens. They throw the ball, they make a play on him. It is what it is. But there's not been a time that he's been down on himself. There's not been a time where he's been negative with himself. He stood up to every challenge that's been thrown at him. So I know that, long story short, I think this kid is definitely has the gift of innate leadership ability. I think whenever he talks, people listen. He's passionate. His words are meaningful, and people kind of gravitate to him because of that. So
that makes total sense. And you talking about Josh Newton and how he has a lot of focus in the way that he approaches his work, it makes me think of another question that I have for you, which is, so many throughout the years, players under Lou Anarumo have said that his defensive scheme is complicated, not only for a quarterback to, understand or decipher quickly, but also for the players within the system. Some players have said it's taken them a couple years to feel comfortable. Do you feel like for future players, it would be beneficial for you guys to look at guys who have more of a high football IQ as well as focus? Do you feel like those kind of guys would thrive quicker within this system?
Honestly, me as a teacher, my main focus is to whatever may seem complicated, make it simple. And I don't try to get into the IQ of a player and, this player is smarter than this player. I think as a teacher, your job is to reach players and adapt and adjust. So if something's too difficult, then we adjust as teachers. That's our job. I think that's what makes elite coaches elite, is their ability to adjust and adapt to their players, not their players adapting and adjusting to them. So, coach, the scheme does have layers to it, but good teachers make the difficult not so difficult. So,
when two players who I felt like were really coming into their own before they got injured, Dax Hill being one of them, DJ Turner another one, like they just seemed like they were about to take that next step in their career, and then the football gods were like, nope, not in 2024, goodbye, you're gonna have to wait until next year. How disappointing was that for you? Because if I could see it, I feel like I know you could see it because you're with them every day.
You asked me one of the hardest things about being, a corners coach. It's things like that. When you see a guy like Dax Hill who made a position switch and was trending in the right direction, and then he gets hurt, right? A guy like DJ Turner, again, a young corner, right? Developing, really flourishing right before our eyes, he gets hurt. And it's a gut punch. It really is, because both of them work really hard at it. Both of them obviously have had their down times within the organization, but you're seeing the growth. You see him to go the right direction. You see him playing with passion, confidence, swagger, and then it's gone, right? So it really is a gut punch, but it's also, on the other hand, it's an opportunity for guys like Josh Newton, for DJ Ivey, Marco Wilson to step up and do something with their opportunity.
For sure. And I have to ask you about Mike Hilton. I was talking to him last week and I mentioned his blitzing ability, and he got this big smile on his face. And he just seems like he loves every second of being able to be in blitz packages and stuff like that. Will you just describe how beneficial it is for you, not only as a coach, but he almost seems like an extension of the coaches? Like he is able to relay messages to his peers around him, and it almost kind of like brings it full circle in a way. Does that make sense?
No, it makes 100%. First, I'll speak to the blitzing aspect of it. That's something I was excited to work with Mike Hilton. From afar, you see a guy he's an undrafted free agent. He goes to Pittsburgh and makes a name for himself, then comes to the Bengals, and then the Bengals start winning. Mike has been a winner his entire athletic career. So he's competitive. The way he has a feel for when the ball is being snapped, the pre-snap movement, the time his blitzes, it's really cool to watch as his coach. I can't say that I'm the reason why that happens. He was born with that. That's one of the things that makes him elite is just his instincts. And then from the leadership aspect, so sometimes if I'm in a meeting and sometimes I may feel like I went off the rails, right? So I have me and Michael talking. I'm saying, Mike, did I go too far right there? So he always, yeah, he always calms me down at times.
He's like your sounding board in a way.
He really is. He really is. And me and him laugh about it all the time. And I love Mike Hilton. Number one, I'm a Mike Hilton fan. I love coaching him. I love being around him. Me and him, our relationship has really grown throughout the years, and it's an honor to be his coach.
I appreciate that. I think he would as well. I want to talk to you about the difference. Obviously, every year the team is going to look different with personnel and all of that stuff. But what to you is one of the biggest differences from the 2022 defense to this one in 2024?
The biggest difference, I would say, from the 22 to 24, when you have guys like the DJ Readers, the Jesse Bates, those guys are elite players. Those guys are, not only elite with the Bengals, but elite in other places. And then you have, veterans like Chido Awuzie. I know I'm missing a few other guys, but, when I came here, it was a very veteran led defense with some top end elite players, so I would say that that's been the biggest difference. And, this year where, you have more of a younger group, but at the end of the day, like I said earlier, regardless of what you had 2 years ago to what you have now, you have to adjust to what you have. So that's always our challenges as coaches, is to be able to adapt and adjust and still field a good product.
Absolutely. I agree. And I don't think I could do this video and talk with you because I think people watching would drag me if I didn't ask you about tackling. Because it seems to have, I guess, been not an issue, like a deficit, I guess, in the defense this year. 14 missed tackles last week. And I know players afterwards, after the Steelers game, were just kind of talking about tough conversations and all that stuff. But when does it start to click to with players to take the right angle or make the tackle, wrap them up? When do you expect that to happen? Like, are you frustrated by this?
Oh, definitely frustrated. I think the mark of a good defense is how well you tackle. So there's never been a good defense that's poor at tackling. You just can't have it, right? So it's definitely something that has hindered us throughout the year. Definitely something that you have to continue to work out, continue to preach. And there's technique to it. There's, entry angles, approach the angles. But at the end of the day, it's a mindset, it's a mentality. And we just simply have to do better. We haven't been consistent. We haven't done well enough at tackling, and we need to do better. If we want to change our circumstances currently where we're at as a defense, as a unit in the season, we have to tackle better. And we as coaches have to lead it better, and it'll improve.
How have players reacted to that conversation? Because it feels like if you play football, you've got to be a decent tackler at the very least, right? So how do players usually react to that kind of conversation?
Well, it's never going to be a comfortable conversation, but it's the truth. It's one thing me saying it, but everybody watches the same film. So at that point, you have to look at it, have a conversation with yourself. And if that conversation starts with some truth, then the next thing you'll say is, well, how can I get it better? And then the only way to get it better is to get in practice, get in the grass, and work on it. And from a mindset standpoint, just understand that, again, in NFL defenses or great defenses around the world, tackling is just part of your identity. It's a mindset, it's a mentality, and we have to do better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess my last question for you is, people talk about 4-8, they bring up the record, and then they will always mention how they expect the injury report to grow and players will just stop. But I haven't seen that with this group so far. And it seems like there are guys in this core group who want to put out good tape. That people talk about motivation. Would you agree that maybe putting out good tape the next 5 weeks would be very instrumental in their next opportunities.
Yeah, 100%. Us as coaches as well. The tape is everybody's resume. The tape is everybody's resume, and the tape does not lie. So, me as a coach, if my position isn't tackling well, then I put the onus on me, and that's my fault. What can I do as a coach to fix that, right? And same thing as players. Like the tape is your resume. That tape will follow you for the rest of your career. The tape will follow myself for the rest of my career because at some point I have to answer for it. I have to be accountable to it, and I have to be honest about it, which I have no fear about that at all. I don't give a damn, really where I'm at. And I'm going to go coach and be accountable to it, and it is what it is. So all the players understand that, and it's something that, just as a competitor, regardless of the record, you want to go out there and compete and put your best foot forward, period.
Especially on Monday Night Football in prime time where everyone is able to see. I said last question a question ago, but I'm going to ask you one final one. Dallas, Cooper Rush, he seems to like the short dink and dunk kind of play. Do you guys take anything from what you experienced with Russell Wilson last week, who also likes that type of play, into Dallas on Monday night?
I would say each quarterback, each team, each organization is different. You like to take, really simplistic and, blackboard approach to each team. So Cooper Rush is a quarterback who has command of the offense. He's a guy that's not going to go out to a game and beat himself. We actually lost to Cooper Rush 2 years ago, and, he did a good job that game. He didn't make too many mistakes. He didn't put his offense in a chance to lose the game. He put them in positions to win, and he's a guy that's not going to go and force anything. If it's not there, he'll check the ball down, which is a win. Check the ball down and, go and make his tackle. So from whatever Russell Wilson did to us last week, him and Cooper Kupp are different quarterbacks, although both, Russell threw some high percentage throws to the running backs and everything like that. So that's definitely, what they're going to look at. But at the end of the day, Cooper Rush is going to stick to what's made him successful. And we have to watch that, honor that, adapt and adjust.
Chuck Burks, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.